Now that wearing a facial covering is mandatory in many places, some folks don't wear them as well as others. Face masks and the behind-the-ear strapping can be particularly problematic for those with hearing impairment. Dr. Rebecca Krukemeyer is an audiologist with Portage Valley Hearing, and she's here with how her office balances the safety of wearing a mask, still being able to use those devices, those hearing devices properly. Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So, you know, the governor just talking about this again yesterday, really encouraging folks to wear masks. Now, when we talk about, you know, putting them behind the ears, you could really lose those hearing aids, those hearing devices inside your ear when you're taking them off, right?
That's the big problem. The big problem is when you remove the mask. So putting the mask on doesn't cause the hearing aid to fall off. But when you remove the mask, well, first of all, the number one style of hearing aid right now is one that fits behind the ear. So this is it. This is number one because it's discreet and it's extremely comfortable. There's almost no weight to this. So when you're removing the ear loop, it's easy to get it snagged with the hearing aid. And unfortunately, because it is lightweight and so comfortable, people don't even realize that they've lost it, and sometimes until it's too late.
Right, you kind of can't retrace your steps at that time, and not only are these expensive pieces of equipment, but also some that these folks really rely on in their everyday lives. So what is your advice to folks who are wearing those hearing aids?
Well, there's a couple things we recommend. Ideally, if you can get the kind that tie in the back, that way you don't have the ear loop coming over the ear when you remove it. The other thing we're telling our patients, and a lot of our patients, they are only wearing hearing aids, you know, they're not out and about a whole lot, so they're not wearing them very often, but I tell them when you remove it, be in a secure location that if you do lose the hearing aid, you have access to it. So remove it in your vehicle. So if it does fall off, you go back to your car and look for your hearing aid.
Right, you're not in the middle of a store or a restaurant and, you know, aren't able to go back and find it.
Exactly. Now, hearing aids do usually come with a loss and damage warranty. So if you do lose it, check with your provider and see if it does have a loss and damage warranty. And that warranty can range anywhere from 1 to 3 years.
So you have some protection there. And speaking of that, you know, if people are finding themselves, hey, I really need to come in, maybe I need a hearing aid right now. How are you all still doing business right now during this pandemic?
Well, I'm still seeing patients. We are seeing one appointment at a time, and patients have to wait in their car or in our waiting room is actually closed right now because we don't want to have interactions in the office. But we are taking temperatures when people come in, and we're using masks. We're also using plexiglass throughout the office where we can. And we're also offering curbside services. And that's for people who just need routine cleanings, routine maintenance. Maybe they need to pick up batteries or supplies. They can call ahead. We'll come out to their vehicle, retrieve the hearing aid, get it cleaned up for them, and they're on their way. And that's, I think, if there's anything good to come of this, that might be a service that we continue to offer even when all this is over, because we find a lot of our patients, especially those who have ambulatory issues, they appreciate not having to get out of their car. They appreciate the curbside service. So that might be something that we continue even after all of this is over.
Yeah, we're all learning a thing or two, right, from this experience that we're in together. And I think another thing that we're learning too, when we are wearing these face masks, speaking of folks who might have a hearing impairment, sometimes they rely heavily on reading lips, correct?
Right. So putting on the face mask, that creates 3 problems. And what we're seeing is that people who didn't have hearing loss or didn't recognize hearing loss before, they're noticing mild problems. But if you had a mild problem, now you're noticing moderate difficulty. If it was moderate difficulty before the mask, now it's severe difficulty. And the reason for that is because when you put on the mask, your voice becomes attenuated. You can't project your voice like you could before. The other thing is we're losing the high frequency speech sounds. The S, the T, the K, the F, the SH, TH, those sounds get almost reduced to the point where it sounds like people are mumbling. And of course, we all know that mumbling is the number one complaint that people can notice when they start to have hearing loss. And then finally, without being able to lip read, the lip reading cues are obliterated. And how many of us rely on lip reading? Whether or not we recognize that we do that, a lot of us do. And I think a lot of people don't realize how much they rely on lip reading until they can't do it.
So I think during this time we've all learned too, maybe we can speak slowly, take our time and just articulate a little bit better even when we are wearing a mask, because we just we don't know if somebody might have some challenges or might be struggling to hear us. And in the meantime, if you're noticing that it's particularly challenging for you, it might be time to come in and see you, huh?
That's right. That's right. Yes, it's always a good idea to slow down your rate of speech, especially for those over the age of 65.
Very
because
good. Yeah, we could be helping. We could be helping everybody, I think, right? Let's just all slow down a little bit. All right, Dr. Kirkemeyer, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We appreciate it.
Yeah.
Take care.